Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our How to Choose Your Healy programs. This is probably the type of, or this will hopefully answer the type of questions I get the most, especially for new people. But it's a good overview or reminder rather for us old folks that have been around for a little bit. So I am going to ask to hold your questions until the end, so we can get through this presentation, and then we'll do a live demo and then question and answers. And if we have time, we'll do a group session with the residents. So without further ado, first we're going to talk about what programs to run in the Healy app, because there's a few different ways to do that depending on what you have and how much time you have. So sometimes it's a question of convenience, and sometimes it's a question of how much of the Healy technology you own or do not own. So I really wanted this presentation to go over those different options. So you either choose without the Blue Dot app, either because you don't own it or you're in a hurry. So you want to be able to do both and not rely on one or the other if you have the Blue Dot app, also called the Heal Advisor Analyze app or the Resonance app. Second way is to choose it with the Blue Dot or Resonance app. And then at the end, we're going to talk about how to use the Resonance app for much more than choosing your program. But I want you to think about getting started to run programs. If you don't, well, let me start over. Don't try to memorize all of this tonight. Just always know you can just, I really say sometimes you could almost put a list of the Healy programs on the wall, throw a dart at it, and you're going to pick a good program. So don't not use your Healy just because you don't know all of the best ways to pick a program. Take baby steps. The way to get started to run programs that you know you want, or first run programs that you know you want and add on as you learn. If you're new, I always recommend running a few gold programs in the beginning. Those are kind of the foundational programs, and they're very general. For instance, if you have pain, you can run release. If you know you need to detox, you can run pure. If you want energy, you run energy. So you really have a whole buffet of programs and a lifetime to use them. So over time, you'll learn to choose better and better, but don't let not knowing all of the ways to choose or how to choose the best program stop you from running programs. So let's first talk about choosing your program if you do not have the Resonance app, or if you do have it and you're in a hurry. So first you can choose from the program list, and that is in your back office under Healy Download. So as soon as you log into your back office in Healy, scroll down to the bottom, and on the bottom of the page, it says Healy Downloads. Click that, and it's near the bottom. You'll see a file called something like Healy Programs. And it's a list of all the programs. Now, don't get your feathers ruffled if the names aren't exactly the same, because sometimes our FDA attorneys say, you may need to rename this to keep out of the crosshairs of the FDA. But the names are going to be similar. So just, use common sense and look at the old name and see if it is similar to the new names. They're by category, so you'll at least know what database list to go on. And by database list, I mean gold. Gold is a list of programs. The gold category is a database. You can also use intuition or muscle testing. So really by intuition, if you know you have migraines, go run the migraine program. And I pause as soon as I say that, because that is on the stimulation page, and those don't have full names. But if you go to my Facebook group and look in images, you can find a snapshot of that screen when it did have names. If that doesn't make sense to you, ask your sponsor to explain that. If they don't know, keep going up until somebody does, because that's very important. I am going to talk about my Facebook group again at the end, because really there are so many resources in there for you guys that are new or, you know, want updates on things like that. The third is the Heal Advisor app, also known as the Search app. Most of us have that. They had some great promotions where almost everybody got it. If you don't, you can go purchase it from your shop. But that's a database where you can put in any condition or symptom, and it will tell you a list of programs that will help that condition or symptom. Second way, and obviously, we all know that have used this Analyze app or Heal Advisor Analyze app. The best way ultimately to choose your programs is using the second app. So you have the Healy app that runs the programs, and it's also called the Pink Dot app. That's what you're going to run the microcurrent or the coil programs from. The Heal Advisor Analyze app, aka the Resonance or Blue Dot app, actually scans your energy field, and from that will recommend the programs that you should use by intensity of how much you need them. So what I recommend everybody does is make a list. First, go to your Pink Dot app, because all of us have different databases in our Pink Dot app. Some of us bought Gold, some of us bought Holistic Health. Some of us bought Holistic Health Plus, some Resonance. Now we have the Resonance Plus, the Professional, and even some of us that bought Resonance 2 years ago have different databases than somebody that bought it last week. So you go make a list of every database that you have in your Pink app, and you'll see why I recommend this later. Then compare that to your Blue Dot. If it's in your Blue Dot, but not in your Pink Dot, put that in the second list. Some things nobody has in the Pink Dot, like Materia Medica, Bach flower. There's about 7 or 8 of those, what I call the digital apothecary, just a name I made up for things that you're only going to send digitally or by resonance. So think of by resonance, you can only send by frequency through the air, let's say, not through the microcurrents like you can on the Pink Dot. But then you're going to have some things that maybe you didn't get in your package, or maybe you can get by subscription only and you didn't add that subscription. So again, how you choose your programs will be limited and or enhanced by what you have. If you have the Pink Dot only or the Pink Dot and the Blue Dot, it's going to change how you choose your programs. Because if you have the Pink Dot only, you are limited in the way to choose your program, since you can't do that scan of your energy field. And then, do you have the coil? If you have the Pink Dot without the coil, oh, I see I have a typo there. I'll have to fix that later. It's supposed to say with or without the coil. If you have the Pink Dot without the coil, you can only run 2 to 4 programs a day with a microcurrent application. So why is that? When you run a microcurrent program, it's increasing your cell voltage and your ATP and your protein synthesis and your amino acid transport, all fabulous things. However, just like exercise, your metabolism, or other things that increase ATP production, you have to discharge some electrons after that happens by grounding. So you don't want to run too many microcurrent programs, especially if you're not grounding enough. And again, drinking plenty of water. But the rule of thumb is if you're really healthy, you can run about 4 microcurrent programs a day. If you have some health challenges, you want to run less, because you know, there is some detoxing, and those electrons I mentioned that are being discharged from the cells And if you do too much of that without both clearing the electrons and clearing the toxins, you could have a healing crisis. Now, with the coil, you can still run those 2 to 4 programs a day, but you can run an unlimited number of programs without the coil. So Marcus even said if you have the coil, you could do just 1 or 2 microcurrent programs a week. I prefer to do a little bit more because I want to detox my cells a little bit more than that. And think of a rule of thumb. If you run a microcurrent program, you want to ground at least 15 minutes per microcurrent program. So if you do 4, that's an hour of grounding a day. I'm not going to say that's 100% necessary, but the more you ground, the better. Even if you weren't using the Healy, a lot of people don't know about grounding. If you don't, Google it. Or put some questions in my Facebook group about it. We'll share some information on that again. But it's our energetic connection to the Earth's magnetic energy that helps us to discharge those excess electrons. I'm not an expert on it, so that's kind of a layman's explanation. Somebody else may be able to explain it even better than I, but you get the general idea. Now, I will say you can run a couple of additional microcurrent programs of the energy program. And you can run unlimited programs for the protection that the name has changed. I think it's defense now, bioenergetic defense, without electrons and without a coil. You can do those unlimited. So let's say you don't have the coil and you want to get some extra healing. You do your 2 to 4 programs. You can run another 1 or 2 energies throughout the day. Even 3 is okay for most people. And you could run as many of the bioenergetic, it always trips me up when they change the names on me, bioenergetic defense programs, no coil, no electrons. I mean, no electrodes. So now we're going to go into the live demo part of this. And this is for those of you that have the Blue Dot app, but also for those that maybe don't have it yet, but you want to learn more about what it can do to decide if you want to add that on. You can add it on just as a subscription, or you can upgrade to a package that has it. We're going to continue to demonstrate how to choose the pink dot programs with the blue dot, but also scratch the surface of what else is possible with the Blue Dot app. And this is the name of my Facebook group, Team 144K group. So please go join that, because if you join and go to, or you click on more, and it may say something different on your phone, but at least on a desktop, it's going to have a button that says more for most of you, but somewhere you have files. And I kind of bumble around on that part because it's different depending on how you've set up your Facebook page. But for most people, if you click on more, once you're in the Facebook group, go to files. And I tell you, I forgot how much stuff was in there until I went in there today to see what was there, but there is so much information in there. And if we have time at the end, I'll go to that to show you some of the stuff that's in there. But for instance, some of those digital apothecary databases I told you about, there's explanations of each of those items in those apothecaries, like Bach flower remedies, what each one does, etc. Okay, so now I am going to go to my other device. So I need to stop sharing. Give me just a second. I need to go back on Zoom. I must have left it. Am I still on it? No, I'm not. While I'm doing that, does anybody have any questions so far? So it's going to take just a second for me to share my screen again. Now, if you do have the coil, which you see is on my Healy now, you're going to take that out when you go to the Blue Dot app. Everything that you do in the Blue Dot app, you do without the coil. Make sure your Healy's turned on by pushing the start button, and when that green light, which you may or may not be able to see, starts blinking, the Healy is on. So this is why we call it the pink dot and the blue dot. On the bottom right is the pink dot. It's got a pink dot in the bottom right corner. On the bottom left is the blue dot. It has a blue dot on the bottom left. So we are going to the blue dot. Can somebody let me know if you can see my screen? I'm pretty sure you can, and that you can still hear me. I'm trying to push the blue dot button on my computer. It wouldn't work. I'm not getting any answer. Can you guys see my screen and still hear me? Oh, maybe nobody can unmute themselves. I'm just going to randomly pick somebody. Connie?
That's right. We couldn't unmute ourselves, but
Oh,
we're
I don't know why you were.
nodding.
I never clicked mute everybody. That's strange. Okay.
Well, if we're quiet, that's probably why.
Okay. Yeah, it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Now I know why. All right, but you can see my screen, correct?
We can.
All right, now I can't get your picture of the screen. View options.
Change the view.
Well, none of them seem. Can you see a little picture on top of the resonance that's me talking right now? You muted again. Did you mute yourself? All right, that's bizarre. Just when I figure Zoom out, they change what they're doing. Oh, well. Hopefully my picture there won't be in my way too much. Okay, so the first thing that you do, and I do want to tell you that, yeah, I know you see my picture. I can't get it to go away. I clicked all the view options and it won't go away. Oh, hide video panel. Nope, that didn't do it either. All right, let me see if I can unmute everybody because I want you guys to, I want this to be interactive. I see mute all and it's not clicked. I'm gonna click mute all and then, oh, allow participants to unmute themselves. Yes, okay. So if you have a question, since it is a small group, feel free to unmute yourself, but try to keep them a little bit to a minimum. So the first thing I do is go to, I keep trying to click on the computer, is go to all Healy programs. And that part of it, I'm going to tell you, is just my analytic mind always has to figure out a system for myself. You can use that part of what I'm going to share with you or not. So this is where you go in, and I chose myself, and then I'm going to continue with the database selection, and I'm going to start with all Healy programs. And that's going to, oh, well, for those of you that don't know, then when you put your finger on the fingerprint spot, that's when it actually scans your energetic field. Yeah, I forgot to get a notepad out, so give me one second. So I take all of those results and I write them down first. So this is telling me that out of all the databases, the resonance feels that I would benefit from the gold category 67%. The learning category at 55%. Now, I do not have the Deep Cycle H programs in my Pink Dot app, so I'm not writing that one down because I'm writing these numbers down to pick my Pink Dot programs that I'm going to run. So I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to write down Meridians 2 at 49%. I also don't have the Watch digital nutrition program, so I'm not writing that one down either. And you'll see why I write these down later. But I'll kind of explain a little bit now. So when I go and I scan each of these categories, overall, the resonance is telling me that these are categories I could benefit from. But then when I scan each individual category, if those categories that came up on this list don't come up as high enough, I'm not going to choose those as my programs. And that'll make more sense in just a second. So then I start my scanning for the Pink Dot programs that I'm going to run with the highest one there. So I don't know if you can see the very bottom of the screen, but there's a icon that looks like a house. That's the home button. Next, there's an icon that looks like a squiggly line. That's the icon to click to scan. The next is settings. So I'm going to click the one to scan. And we're not talking about the aura analysis tonight. We're just talking about resonance. So I click that resonance button. It's for myself. So I click my name. I click continue with database selection. And then because gold came up the highest, I want to scan Healy Gold first. Oh, I kid you not, guys. I have tried to scroll on my computer 10 times. Hopefully, maybe I should run the learning programs first and then I'll remember. Healy Gold. So now this is going to scan all of the Healy Gold programs and see which ones my energy field wants the most. So I click Start Analysis, put my thumbprint on there. And what I do is if it came up on the All Healy programs, I add 10% of that to these numbers. So energy is 54%. But in the Healy Gold on the All Healy programs, gold came up as 67. So I'm going to add 6.7 to that, which brings it to 60.7. And I know for me, the programs that come out the high, in the high range for me are around 58% or higher. So I'm going to write down all the programs after I scan every database that I have in my Pink Dot app. I'm going to write them down if they're 50, let's say 57 or higher. Excuse me. And I'm going to run about the top 10 to 12. That's how many I run in a day or a day and a half sometimes. So I scan and write down about the top 10 to 12, run those over the next day or day and a half, and then do another scan for my Pink Dot programs. I'm only talking about Pink Dot program selection. It's still at this time. And I just start with the one that came up highest in all Healy programs, just so I vary where I'm starting. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to go into it right now. And then I just go up or down randomly. And the next time I might, if I go down this time, I might go up the next time. So being is at 50%. If I added the 6.7, it brings it to 56.7. So it didn't quite hit that 57 mark. But you know what? I'm going to write it down anyway, just in case I don't have 10 or 12 that are higher than 56.7. That's just close enough to go ahead and write it down.
Lisa, where do you get the 6.7 to add?
When I scanned all Healy programs,
Okay.
gold came up at 6.7. So what I want to do is just weight those categories a little bit higher if they came up on my all Healy scan.
That's just if it's Healy Gold cycle that comes up?
whatever comes up in my, let me go back. So you can always click that home button,
right?
click list, and see the scans that you've already run.
Ah,
So I'm going back to all Healy programs.
got it. Thank you.
For me
right.
today, Healy Gold came up as the highest at 67%. So when I then went and scanned the Gold database, I added 6.7 to those numbers to give them a little more weight.
Oh, so you take 10% of the highest
No.
reading.
I take 10% of all the readings. When
Okay,
I
thank
go
you.
to learning, I'm going to add 5.5%. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
not going to do
That
anything
helps.
with, yeah, I'm not going to do anything with Deep Cycle H because I don't have that in my databases right now. I should if they'd upgrade my Healy to my professional that I want, but partially my fault. I kept changing which Healy I wanted it on. When I go to Healy Meridians, I'm going to add a 4.9 to all of them because it was at 49. And again, I don't have the Watch Digital Nutrition turned on right now, so I'm going to ignore that one. So I have 3 categories that I'm going to give a little bump to when I scan them. Whoop. So now I'm clicking this, the squiggly line at the bottom that looks kind of like a EKG line, resonance analysis again. I started at gold. So I'm going to do, let's go up. I'm going to do the one next to gold, which is fitness, start analysis. That, you know, I'm not adding anything to fitness because it didn't come up in my all Healy programs. And at the highest one's at 53%. So I'm not running any fitness programs this time. I click the squiggly line again, resonance analysis, my name. And honestly, guys, this takes me a total of about 7 minutes. Timed it several times. It's an average right around 7 minutes, give or take a minute, to get through all of these categories. Digital nutrition mixtures, I do have, so I'm going to scan that. These always come up, or usually come up pretty high for me. So sometimes that fills in a third of my programs for the day. And I tell you, gold almost never ever came up for me either in the scan. I mean, either in all Healy or, you know, I never got high numbers there. And lately they have been over and over. So it's so interesting to see, you know, as this peels away the layers. So it's funny. I almost never drink anymore. And being a holiday weekend, I've had about 2.5 drinks this weekend, and look what came up as 67%. Although I will say that sometimes comes up for me even if I'm not drinking, because sometimes your food can turn into alcohol in your body. So don't be surprised if it comes up even if you're not a drinker. Again, digital nutrition, amino acids, it's still over that 57%. And you have to find what kind of your number is, where everything over that, you know, are your highest numbers. And again, it's going to vary if you have a coil or not, because if you don't have a coil, you're only looking for the top 3 or 4 programs, right? If you do have a coil, you could look for up to 15 if you think you can run those in about a day or so. Amino acids, 64%. Kidney, digital nutrition. Make sure you know, I abbreviate, like I've got DN, ALK, INT. So I, you know, just abbreviate them as briefly as you can where you'll still know what they are. So kidney, 61%. So I'm not going to write all of these. Well, yeah, I will, because these are actually, I'm going to want to know them later, aren't I? Digital nutrition, antioxidants, 60%. It's funny, that came up yesterday and it was at the end of my list, so I didn't run it. And it's like, I told you to run this one. Nails, 58. Now, since I have a group here where all 5 of them are, you know, high, I'm going to do a broadcast of these from my resonance as well for myself. You know, if the whole group of them, or at least 3 or 4 of them are high enough, you can always send those to yourself as a resonance as well. For those of you that don't know what that is yet, you'll see that at the end. Click the squiggly line again, my name, And let's say I came up with 20 over that number, then I would make my baseline higher. So I would mark out everything maybe under 60. That was digital nutrition. So now we go to deep cycle. And we have 1/57, breath of life. So all right, DC for deep cycle, breath for breath of life, and 63. So I'm not going to do all of these tonight, but you get the picture. I'm going to scan every database that I have in my Pink Dot app and pick the top 10 to 12 programs from that list and run them over the next day or day and a half. What I'm going to do then, and you can do this or not, it's up to you. What I usually do is I go into my email and I start a draft email and I write these all, instead of writing them down like I am now, I type them into an email. Because I'm scanning on my phone, I can be typing on my computer. And then I sort them in order of intensity. Actually, I'm going to do the meridians because I do one more thing with the meridians. And the one that came up was M2, meridians 2. So I'm going to do that one. Wow, that's a high one. So M2, I got 49 on the all Healy program. So I'm going to add 4.9, which brings that to 73.9 for the nerve meridian. Oops, M2, I need to write on that so I know which one. I would also write down the organ meridian at 63 and add in that other 63, that's 67.9 for organ. All right, then when I'm gonna rank them and kind of order, I start with the ones that had the highest number. I'm gonna run that first and then next. But there are a few that I like to do at certain times, like the deep cycle, I'll do it bedtime. So I'll put that in the list somewhere around where I know I'm gonna be going to bed for, what was it, breath of life that came up. I'm going to go over to Facebook real quick. If you go to my Facebook group, and I don't usually do this for my phone, so oh yeah, click photo and video, and there's a list of all the photos and video. Oh, that's all my photos. That's if I'm posting. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't want to create a post. I want to find a picture in there. I might have to do this from my computer. I'll do that at the end. Somebody remind me to show you how I decide when I'm going to run my Meridian programs. But does anybody have any questions about what I showed you with the scans?
Lisa,
You
said you're running like 10 or 15 programs. I'm assuming that's because you're doing it with the coil.
Correct.
Okay.
If you don't have the coil, here's your limits. If you're really healthy, 4 microcurrent programs a day. By microcurrent, that means you're using some electrodes, either the wrist electrodes or the adhesive electrodes. Up to 4 if you're really healthy, 3 if you're pretty healthy, 2 if you're so, 1 if you're sick, and build up. Okay.
Lisa,
hold on, let me finish this whole train of thought.
Okay.
The more of those you run, the more water you need to drink, the more you need to ground. As a rule of thumb, 10 to 15 minutes of grounding per program you use. Per program you use with electrodes. In addition to that, you can run the energy program with electrodes an additional 2 or 3 times a day. or let's say 1 to 3 times a day. So if your energy's down, don't hesitate to run that a few extra times. It's not going to affect the ATP like the others.
What program is energy program?
It's on Gold Energy. Thank you
Oh.
for asking that. I should have mentioned that. And run as many of the bioenergetic defense programs without the electrodes as you want. So you could still run, 8, 10 programs a day. It's just going to be a lot of the bioenergetic defense. So you can rotate through those. You can run a couple extra energies plus your 1, 2, 3, or 4 microcurrent programs. Does that?
Okay, that's good. One question, do you feel, and I may have asked you this before, do you feel that, like I have the new Healy and, or the replacement Healy,
Mhm.
do you think there could be a variance between one Healy and another?
I don't know, but I have just recently heard a few people say they do see a difference between their Healys.
Okay, because I'm feeling more energetic.
Excellent.
So do you think that could be because of the Healy, that it's giving me more energy?
I don't know why, honestly, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but I also do know that you got some, when you got the new one, you had some more databases in the Blue Dot. Have you run any of those new databases that you didn't have before from the Blue Dot?
Not really, because I had that deep H and I wasn't sure what to do with it because there were some things on there that were on the regular deep. And so I did run one from the deep H, but I guess it was, I'm trying to think which one it was, but I don't really have that.
You can't run one. You run 5 or none.
Well, I'm trying to think how I did it, but I had.
Well, the only way you can do it, unless you added it to your pink dot, is from the Blue Dot. Whenever you send frequencies from the Blue Dot, it's in packages of 5.
Right.
So if you ran the Deep Cycle H that you'd never had before, and even though the names are similar, they're not the same.
Okay.
So
that's what
it could be that.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was what.
Right. And I know you mentioned another one that you didn't have before. So it could be running these new databases. So that's why, Healy is, it can help you in layers, right? So, if somebody is really pretty healthy, well, let me rephrase this. I've had only a handful of people that used the Healy and said, I didn't notice anything, but they were already very healthy. So they may not have noticed anything right away, but I find that, and this has been true with other energetic wellness tools I've used, over time, they may notice that, wow, I didn't notice anything because I really didn't have anything to notice, but my intuition has been improving, or my energy has been improving. I thought I had all the energy I needed. And that may be a week or a month or a year later, usually not a year, but does that make sense? Everybody starts in a different place. So where they're going to get is going to be a different path. Whether it's that one Healy, hold on, whether it's that one Healy really affected them differently than the other, I'd have to do a double blind controlled study to say yes or no, but anecdotally, yes.
Okay. Well, remember I told you that one time I did the balance nerve and a calm, I guess that was what came up. And I had the best sleep I'd had in ages, but then if it doesn't come up again, I don't know whether I should run it again.
Well, that's where at the beginning, there are different ways to choose your programs. The resonance is only one. If you have an itch to scratch, don't make the resonance walk in with a back scratcher. Go ahead and itch it.
Okay.
So you can always choose your programs that either intuitively, see, there's something called priorities. your energy field may say, I don't care if you're not sleeping well. We need to take care of this. And they're going to put
Yeah.
all their energy there, and they're going to tell the residents maybe to work on your meridians, for instance, that may or may not help your sleep in the first day or
Yeah.
weeks or months.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
to not be sleeping well sucks. So go ahead
Yep.
and do some sleep programs.
Yeah.
So
okay.
mix these up, guys. Don't, these are just different ways to get to different destinations. Sometimes you want to go on the freeway. Sometimes you want to take a country road. Mix it up. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, let me move on now. And unless somebody's really confused about something I've already done, let's move on. But let me know if you are confused about anything we've already done. Okay, great. So then you're going to go scan everything that you do not have on your Pink Dot app. So you could just start at the top, let's say, for that, but I do try to mix them up. And this is why, guys, every time you run a resonance scan, you're affecting your energy field. So if you start at the same one every time, you may get a little bit of a skewed result. It's minor, but it is a factor. I'm a little bit of a stickler for trying to optimize things. So I just think it's better to mix it up. There I go, clicking on my computer again. All right, so I do want to bring up these number 2s. So you've got Alaskan Gem Elixirs, and then you've got Alaskan Gem Elixirs 2. Now, not everybody's going to have both 1s and 2s. I know there's not a 1 there, but I'm going to call it 1 and 2. The reason is that when we first got our Healys, we had Alaskan Gem Elixir, Australian Bush Flower, Bach Flower Remedies, and then they updated them a little bit. But they said, hey, I'll let you guys keep the old group and add the second group. Honestly, I wish they just take them away. Why would I want to use the old ones when I have an updated one? But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I just do the 2s if I have a 2. So I'm not going to scan Alaskan Gem Elixirs. I'm going to go straight to Alaskan Gem Elixirs 2. And it's kind of the same concept. I'm going to write these down, and I'm going to pick the top 3 or 4 out of all of what I do not have in the Pink Dot app. So I'll just I write AGE for Alaskan Gem Elixirs, 61%. And I go to the next one. Hit the squiggly line, hit the resonance icon, hit my name. By hit, I mean touch with my finger. Continue with database selection. The next one is Australian Bush Flowers 2, start analysis. Put my finger on the screen. All right, ABF for Alaskan Bush Flower, 63%. And I'm going to continue to do that with every database that I don't have in my Pink Dot app. I'm going to pick the top 3. You could do 4 or 5 if you want. I like 3. The reason being that if you focus on 2, 3, or 4 databases, you're going to get more results in those 2 or 3 or 4 than you would if you did 5 or 6 or 7. I don't think it's good to overwhelm the body's energy field with too much. So that's why I picked 3. I muscle test that though. So hopefully you can learn how to muscle test. It's a great tool to use as well. And then here's what I'm going to do. Well, let me tell you what you should do if you're not going to do what I do. These databases are meant to be sent to yourself for short durations. And you pick your durations. Well, first I'm going to click actions just to show you, and then vibrate. And then you see at the bottom where it says select transmission. You click the little triangle to the right, and that gives you all of your options for the durations. The reason they're funny fragments of time is that these are all based on the golden mean, or the golden ratio rather. So, you know, it defaults to 1 minute and 20 seconds. If you always just do 1 minute and 20 seconds, that will work for anything. And by that, I mean, if it's acute, you do it, and I may have this backwards. That's why I just kind of picked the 1 minute because it's confusing. If it's an acute issue, you do it for less, no, you do it for more duration, less times, and vice versa. But those durations both include 1 minute and 20 seconds. There's a chart somewhere. I don't use it, so I don't have it. I think it's too much to try to remember and deal with. So just do the 1 minute and 20 seconds unless you want a muscle test and then go a little bit up or down. The other thing is, let's say that I have Australian bush flowers come up. I don't know if that's for an acute issue or oh, somebody help me. What's the opposite of acute? Can never think of both of those at the same time.
It could
Chronic.
Thank you. Chronic.
or it could be a constitutional state.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Australian bush flowers came up for something chronic or acute, because I don't want to have to read through all. I mean, the whole beauty of the Healy is that it puts you at ease and you don't have to try to figure everything out every day, right? I want to do this on the fly. So I'm just going to do 1 minute and 20 seconds almost every time. But you want to do that 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. And you want to do it for a few days in a row. So if I'm taking the top 3 databases and I run that 3 times a day, that's 9 times I'm going to have to go into my resonance and broadcast these frequencies. That's too much for me. Instead, you can take a carafe of water, take a Healy. You know what? I'm going to run and get my carafe because I explained this and nobody seems to understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to share my screen up here again, because I'm not going to do all the databases. So I'm done there, but or actually, I don't need to share my screen, do I? I can just hold it in front of the camera. So who knows what I'm talking about with
broadcasting it into a container of water?
Yes.
I've seen you demo it, yes.
Could you explain it while I go get my carafe and then I'll actually have a visual?
I think so. Basically, you just put it up next to the container. This is just a glass. I don't have a carafe here. Actually, I do have, this is my hydrogen thing, but you have a carafe of water and you set the program, set the program in motion to transmit, and just put it right up next to it is one of the ways. There's a couple of other ways too. And I don't know for how long, if it's for the whole program. I need clarification on that. I have a program running right now based on what we went through with this exercise. And then what you can do, instead of doing those 9 programs, there she is. So put it up there. And then do you let it run for the whole program?
Well, it's not 9 programs. It's 3 databases.
3 databases. Okay,
right?
Go ahead. I'll let you explain that.
Okay.
Okay.
So again, if you went through all of the databases that you do not have in your Pink Dot app. So for me, it'd be Australian gem, Australian Alaskan bush flowers, but it'd also be the deep cycle H, right? Because I don't have that in my Pink Dot. And write them all down. Or you don't have to write them all down. Once you get, 4 or 5, then like if the 4 or 5 are a 61, a 63, and a 65, you don't have to write down a 58 or a 42, right? So you take those 3 and put your Healy up against a carafe of water. I prefer glass. Don't do plastic. It's not going to hold. Go back to your Healy. Okay. And let's say that the Alaskan bush flower was one of my highest. I go back to my list. Remember, I click the house, I click lists, I click Australian bush flowers, I click actions, and then vibrate. And I run that vibration. So the Healy is sending them to me too in that moment, because it knows that it's talking to me. Now, I even in my mind say, this is just something that I've used for years for energy healing. It's by intent purpose, spirit of Lisa, please share these frequencies with this vessel of water. You can do that or not. I run the Healy. It's putting the frequencies in the water in that moment as it's sending them to me. For the next 3 days, I don't want to have to do that again. And I do that for those 3 top databases that came up in my list that is not in my pink dot. Now those frequencies are in this water. So I don't drink from the carafe. What I do is I put an ounce or 2 in every liquid that I'm going to consume. That's convenient. Again, I'm a big fan of convenience, guys. You know, this is all about joy and ease in your life. Not, oh my gosh, I didn't put it in my waters today. I don't care if you skip a day, you still, you know, you got a whole lot more if you did it once a month than you did 3 years ago, right? So just put a splash, put an ounce, put 3 ounces. I put it in my coffee maker, I put it in my soup, put it in my smoothies, and I put it in my water. And then, you know, it takes me about 2 or 3 days to drink that, which is exactly how you're supposed to, you know, share the frequencies with your body. So it's perfect for me. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
Good, good, good. Oh, we have a whopping 6 minutes left. So is there anybody who does not know how to muscle test that would like a demo? Okay,
Yes, I would like to see a
I
demo.
knew you did.
it.
Yeah, we mentioned that before. Anybody else?
Yes, I would also.
Okay,
Oh,
as long
shoot.
as there's a few of you. I know there's some seasoned muscle testers here as well, so I don't want to do it if it was only 1 or 2, but I know that. Plus it's recorded, so you can share this with your people. I recommend you change your view to speaker if you haven't already. And I just did that, and Cheryl's name is up there. So why am I talking and I don't see myself? I tell you, Zoom is driving me crazy today. Well, it's really more important what you guys see. So does everybody see me on their screen when I'm talking?
Yes.
All right, this time I am drinking from my water because I forgot to bring a water up. So 1 sec. Okay. There's many ways to muscle test. And in fact, the type of energy healing that I practice is all about muscle testing, and we do it a completely different way, and I use a dowsing rod sometimes, but what I'm going to show you is what I found most people can do pretty easily. And first you have to train your spirit. Okay. You're really asking your spirit for answers. And I call it calibrating. So it's all about standing and leaning forward or backwards to give yourself yes and no answers. So, and for many people, when they first try this, it's a universal kind of thing that it's going to work the first few times you try. But if it doesn't, then you do have to calibrate. So the first thing I recommend you do is just bounce a little bit at the knees to loosen everything up. And close your eyes, especially if you're new at this, and say, show me a yes. And see if you start to lean a little bit forward. Boy, that light is really bright behind me. I don't know if that's making it hard for you guys or easier. Or... yeah, that's better. All right, are you trying this now, Kathy? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. My
Okay,
problem
great.
is I don't feel myself going one way or the other. It just seems
Okay,
like
here's
it's
what I
both.
want you to here's what I want you to do then. Now I'm going to show you how to calibrate. Say, my name is Kathy, and then make yourself go a little bit further.
Forward.
Yeah.
Go forward. My
Yeah,
name is Kathy.
All right, now bounce at the knees a little bit and say, my name is George, and make yourself go back a little bit.
My name is George. Okay.
Okay, now I want you to do that again without making yourself. Say, my name is Kathy, and see what happens.
My name is Kathy. A little bit forward, but it felt like I started to go back.
Right, but did you make yourself stop from going back, or did you,
Yeah.
did it?
I
Okay,
think I did.
then sometimes you can calibrate 1 or 2 times and then it will just happen. Sometimes it might take you 10 times. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different. Just like
Okay.
anything, you have to
Okay.
train yourself a little bit. Who's the
That's
other
the
person?
hardest part of it for me, because I've
Yeah.
had people muscle test me a lot, but I can never feel myself
Yeah,
with, the strong forward or back.
yeah, just practice it a few times. The fact
Okay.
that, I mean, even though you made yourself stop going back, then you automatically went forward. So you're
Yeah.
getting there already. A couple more
Okay.
times, it should work. Who was
Okay.
the other person that said they wanted to learn? You might have to unmute yourself.
Cheryl, but I just did it just now when you did that.
Did it work?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Woo! I love it. So, good example. Sometimes it's once. Kathy, you're going to be 2 times, I think, maybe 3. So keep at it. All right.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions, comments, or experiences that they've had that they want to share? Take a couple more minutes.
I have a question. A week ago on Monday, you said, has anybody had trouble with their pink dot? And I said, I've never had any trouble at all. Well, now I have.
Oh.
And so, and just for the last couple of days, and I've noticed on the Facebook pages that other people have had it, and I just wasn't sure if I can't even pull up the program to start it. It looks like it's starting, and then it doesn't actually, it goes back to the main screen. So I'm wondering if I need to uninstall and reinstall. I've looked at a lot of places and didn't find an answer. Okay.
Yes, yeah. If you hit a brick wall, that's, especially with the pink dot, it's not necessarily recommended with the blue dot, because then you have to deal with the master key. But yeah, uninstall, reinstall. Now, what you could try first, if you haven't already, is go to settings and check for updates.
I did that.
Yeah, then go ahead and uninstall, reinstall. Sometimes it's an update's been made to the app, and even though it should update, sometimes it doesn't. So if you just take it out, put the new one, put it back on, it'll take care of that.
Great. And thanks for showing us about the crap. I've really been wanting to know about that since I heard about it.
Sure.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I was so glad to learn that too, because it's a real time saver for sure. All right, anybody else?
Hi, I have a quick question.
Okay, only if you send us all a piece of that cake.
That'd be
And
hard.
I'm
That's
kidding,
for
I
my,
can't eat that stuff
that's for
anymore.
my son's birthday, probably like 2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
So I was using the deep cycle on my mom, and she ended up getting like a rash around on her neck and on her arms a little bit. So we kind of stopped, but I'm not really sure, like, what should we do? Should we stop completely, or just like, what's the protocol for that?
You asked that in my Facebook group. Did you read
I
the
did,
answer?
but I'm not sure if the question went through. I know it said it was like going to be approved or something, and then I didn't check after that.
Okay, let's now you guys get to see my obsession with Facebook Marketplace. Let's go to Facebook my Facebook group. I wanted to talk about that anyway.
Okay.
So the first thing I recommend is that you make sure your notifications are turned on. Do you know how to get your notifications?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you should have a notification that says Lisa Lothian answered your question, because or Lisa tagged you.
Okay. I think I get so many Facebook notifications that I just like ignore them.
Yeah.
What it is, but okay, I'll check.
Yeah, and that's fine that you're asking this now. Hey, we get busy, but I'm just going to use this as kind of a learning opportunity. So for those of you that don't know, this bell right here at the top right, if you click that, all of your notifications will come up.
Oh, we can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I see you. Oops.
You see me, but you don't see my screen. Two different things. Okay, so now you see my Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Okay. This bell up at the top right is where you click to get notifications.
Okay.
So if you've posted in my group and I answer you, what I do is I tag you. So spell your name for me again.
NASH. Yeah, right there. First one.
So this will pull up her post, right? So I may be lying and maybe I missed it, or I know I answered it. Maybe I didn't tag you.
It's the one on the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 comments.
Okay.
Sure enough, I didn't tag you. Oh, you know what? I didn't tag you and then I tagged you, see above, because I knew I forgot.
Oh, okay.
So you should have a notification. So that's the first thing to do is look at your notifications, or
Okay.
go into the group, search your name, and you'll find the post just like I just did.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go ahead and answer this because it's such a great question.
Yeah.
I've not had anyone experience a rash that I know of, but as a detox practitioner, it does not surprise me. As we push toxins out of our cells and organs, the toxins must leave the body, and the skin is one of the pathways for that to happen. As the toxins exit, a rash can occur. Microcurrents alone and some of the programs greatly enhance getting toxins out of our cells. If you're having any detox effect, do less programs with the microcurrents. This is where the coil is fantastic. Drink
Okay,
plenty of
great.
water and consider taking binders.
Okay.
Now, if I was president, I would make everybody take binders. And especially if you're using the Healy, I really think in addition to drinking more water,
Mhm.
grounding,
Okay.
taking binders is as important. But and I know some of you may not know what binders are, and I'm not going to get into that conversation here, but if you don't know, private message me. But basically there are things that, well, so you push toxins out of your cells. They go get processed by the liver. They're supposed to go out of the colon, but if there's too many toxins and not enough fiber or something for those toxins to grab onto, they just get recycled back into the body.
Okay.
So binders are things that really hold a lot of toxins, and you take them before you go to bed, which
Mhm.
is when we really detox, and they'll absorb those toxins like sponges. I call them sponges, magnets, and brooms because they all work a little bit differently. So you want a variety of binders, some that are sponges, some that are magnets, some that are brooms to
Okay.
get those toxins out.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. I think I'm gonna
You're
take up
welcome.
on that assessment for sure.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. You can private message me, say you want a complimentary toxicity assessment, and I'm
Okay.
happy to send you that. All kinds of good information usually comes out of those. So I would bet a whole $5. Your mom, was it your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to score high on that.
Okay.
So the rash is actually annoying, but probably it can be a lifesaver
Okay.
to, make her aware that she's got an issue there.
Okay. All right. I'll let her know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So now that I'm in the Facebook group, just want to show you a couple of things. If you click more here, and then files, there's so much good information in here. Some that I've put, some that there's a couple of people that put some really great stuff in here. Stacy Faircloth shared like many files on some of the digital apothecary files that are just fabulous. But even down here, Healy training videos. If you're new or still a little shaky on how to use your Healy, those are great. Playlist too. Oh, these are my old videos that I didn't know where they went. Let me see if I can still get to those. Now, when you click those, there's always 2 clicks. First, you click from that file list, and then you click the link that comes up. They are still there. That's a gold mine. So go take a look at that. There's lots of great information, including past kind of overviews that we did similar to tonight. And every time we talk about different stuff. Any questions about any of that or really anything, guys? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. I hope that helps. Be sure to share
Thank you,
with
Lisa, for presenting this. I
you're
appreciate
very
it.
Yeah.
I'm
Lisa-
not able to make it on Wednesdays because I have a previous group at that same time, but this has been very helpful.
Okay, actually, I'm going to change that time. So if anybody has a preference for what time on Wednesday, send me or it might be Thursdays, because now I have a call that is going to be with something else. This Wednesday, it's actually going to be at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be on the promotional tool to help share Healy. If you have any interest in sharing Healy or really promoting any business, this is something that can be used with any business. I highly encourage you to come to that. It's not going to be just Healy people for that, because this is something that any business can use. And some of my Healy distributors are doing, they're practitioners, so they wanted to promote their practice, but then they can also have a Healy page or a page for each product they represent. So it's a really work smarter, not harder kind of tool. In fact, did anybody get an email from me like about a half an hour ago, or a text rather?
Yes.
Okay, that was my first time sending them out. Like, I wrote the message earlier and had it scheduled to go out at 8:30 so I could check with you guys and see if anybody got it. I'm still learning how to use the tool. So I hope you can join us for that. And if you have anybody on your team that wants to share Healy, it's a great tool for that. And if you're not on my new mailing list, make sure you get on it, because the old one's going away.
Lisa, where are the archived videos of this posted? Where do I find them?
I'll always send them out in an email.
Okay, thank you.
But they're also on my YouTube channel, which is Natural Body Balance.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And the reason I'm making this a little bit of a longer explanation is because sometimes I don't want my videos to go outside of my group, so I make them private.
Yeah.
So you'll have to have the link that'll be in the email. And I'm just checking to see, can you guys still see my screen, or just stop sharing?
I can see.
No, we can just see you.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm just putting it in. When I search Natural Body Balance, I don't come up first, but I just want you to see my logo so you'll know what to look for. So give me 1 second and I'll share the screen.
Do we need to subscribe in order to be approved to view?
I don't think so, but if you do subscribe, you'll get notified. So you want to click Natural Body Balance. Now, I have other stuff that's not Healy up here. So if you don't want your people to see it, then just send them the links. In fact, I don't know how to get to my Healy ones. Click playlist when you get there. I've only got one because I just started doing the videos again. So honestly, probably the best place right now is to get the link from the emails, especially since sometimes they're going to be private.
Great.
And you must have the link.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out on a holiday evening, no less. And hope to see you Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Mike.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.